Warning, what you are about to hear is two guys talking completely unfiltered.
Cut. What are you doing? We don't do disclaimers. The show's called Totally Unprofessional for a reason.
I'll see what you did. You're wasting our intro time.
Yeah. Start the show.
It's been a weird fantasy weekend. Bunch of guys going off that, like I said, aren't normally going off, but they just like Britt is one of them. I mean, the New Orleans offense. I mean, I usually don't see one guy going nuts like that. And Cooks went off, and Thomas had a big day.
I didn't figure that Shady McCoy would have 3 touchdowns. I figured he'd have a good game, but not 3 touchdowns.
Well, what you got to remember about McCoy, though, is he is their running back.
Yeah.
So, and that guy can break those 15, 20-yarders. That's a specialty.
Yeah,
right there,
but like to have 3 fucking touchdowns.
Well,
I mean,
Johnson,
I figured that
David Johnson's got 3 touchdowns tonight. I mean,
well, yeah, but Arizona has like that setup where they're playing a team where you could see him getting that, and you're like, okay, like they were all close, like they were close runs. They weren't like from like you said, 15, 20 out. Shady, everything Shady touched was gold.
It's the Niners.
Yeah.
We're back. We got week 6 almost in the books here. The Jets finishing off a polished job on Arizona, basically bending over for them. It looks like. I bet they're kicking themselves in the ass for giving Fitzpatrick that money to come back for one more year.
No, I don't think so.
He hasn't. I mean, oh my goodness!
99.
What? Oh man,
that's concussion protocol.
That's he hit him right under the chin, didn't he?
Yeah.
Is he spitting blood? I bet that split his jaw or his lip. That's 17. Who is that?
Oh God! Oh, Fitzpatrick hung him out to dry.
Yes, he did. Well, you know what? When you're crossing the middle, there's safeties and backers there, man. Look at he unstrapped it. Oh my goodness! Oh, geez.
Hey, that was shoulder. If you look at it, shoulder.
That was the way it was supposed to be.
Oh, it was peak. What? They're calling a flag?
No.
Probably for unstrapping his chin strap.
Well, he can unstrap. He just can't take off the helmet.
Where's the closed captioning?
No, there goes everybody. Look at
there's the he's under concussion protocol.
Yeah. Let's see what the flag is. This should be interesting because
delay
of game
on the Honey Badger.
It wasn't even him that made the hit, was it? I don't think
38. Whoever 38.
Oh, that was a smash. That was fucking awesome.
Look, he's like, did you miss a tooth? Are you missing any teeth? It busted his gums.
Well, it had to have come up underneath.
It busted his gums straight.
You gotta look at it. It was like, oh, that's nasty.
He's spitting blood because they busted his gums.
He got fucking lit up. Did you see the report? Vontaze Burfict's 2 hits are getting investigated.
No.
Go back and look that up on ESPN.
Who did he hit?
One of them was Martellus Bennett, and I don't remember who the other one is because it was so insignificant. The Martellus Bennett one. When it happened, I remember when it happened during the game because Bennett got up and he was yelling at Burfict and it kind of started like a little scrabble. During the game, I forget who was calling the game. I think it was Fouts and whoever his partner is. They were saying that it looked like Burfict was stumbling and he went down. That's why he wasn't flagged because he hit him low. He hit him like right at the calf. And what they're doing is they're looking at it like it was something intentional. And one of the articles I read earlier said that they're going to watch players who are suspect of breaking some of the hitting rules and the code of conduct rules. So, Burfict's got the reputation, so they're gonna look at him a little bit more. So that was one of them they're looking at. I don't remember what the other one was, but like I said, I was watching it live, and the announcers even said, "No, he was stumbling. There shouldn't be anything to look at on that one. That's why there wasn't a flag." So that will warrant some watching on my part to see if Burfict stays in the lineup. Yeah. It's iffy. It's iffy. Yeah, they're going to be watching him. He knows it. That's why I can't see that being something done purposely. He knows they're watching him. But hey, like I said, you never know with the NFL. Goodell and the NFL have turned into the super police agency when it comes to shit like that. So
did Antonio Brown have to take his cleats off?
I didn't
hear anything.
I don't think they made him
because he was wearing a Kimbo Slice and the Jose Fernandez.
He's just he'll take the fines. They don't make you change them.
He did. Like he hasn't been fined yet.
No, that's
all they've done is they've had people like officials from the NFL come to him and tell him you have to remove those. That's a violation of the NFL uniform policy.
Oh wow.
That's why he's had to take off.
That's got to be the most.
That's why he's had to take off the one with his kids on them.
Yeah.
Like the only one that they cleared was the Arnold
Ali,
Palmer
and the Ali ones.
Yeah,
they left him with the Ali ones too. Yeah, so that's kind of crazy. That's yeah, Jets are driving right now, so.
They're inside the 20.
Yeah, they get this little chicken shit stuff, you know. They gotta stay away from it.
Come on, Inua, looking for a touchdown. Oh shit!
I don't give a
flag,
damn. I don't give a damn what they want to do. They need to just stay away from those fucking those pity pat shits.
Yeah.
You know, police the right things. Quit fucking around with everybody that's just got people on their cleats. I mean, who the hell cares about their cleats? You know, really. I mean, I can't even tell you the last time they zoomed into someone's cleats outside of Antonio Brown's. Or the pink ones that they're wearing right now, which are pretty cool, by the way. You know, so
yeah. The only thing that Brown's been fined for was the celebration, the touchdown celebration.
That was pretty cool too. But so let's go backwards a little bit.
Okay.
Did you? I know you're watching more American League shit, but did you see the game Saturday night, the Dodgers and the Cubs?
I saw the pinch hit grand slam.
Okay. I mean,
I called it.
Did you see the sequence of pitches that were going through there? I was sitting here watching it, and
you know, to be fair, I saw it on a highlight because the Monster Energy Cup, which is it's a Supercross race in Vegas. They do it at San Boy Stadium in October. It's every year in October. Brought to you obviously by Monster Energy, and it gives. So you're gonna like this. Speaking of local boys, so they have the 450 crew, right? Yeah. It's 3 10-lap mains. If you win all 3, guess what you win?
Who do you win?
$1 million.
Oh wow. Nice.
But you have to win all 3, like overall. So like, let's say if you get 3 first, it's just like golf. The lowest score wins.
Yeah.
So if you get 3 first, 3 points is the winner.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's the same idea. But the guy who switched teams this year, Ken Roxon, who I talked about before on the podcast, he switched teams to Honda, and he's only had 3 full days of testing on this bike. This guy wins the first heat by 7 seconds.
Oh wow.
Just smokes everybody. Comes out. And so Ricky Carmichael designs these tracks, right? The starting line is literally built up into the bleachers. So it's at the top of the stadium. It runs down 435 feet down into the corner and then turns.
No shit.
And then they take off. Well, coming out of what they call Monster Alley is this back section where they're coming off strong off of a little short turn. And then all of a sudden they hit a jump and they jump out into this sand section. Dude. And it's just a dead straightaway until you get to the high side of the entrance, and then you come back down and turn and hit the turn for the finish line. He's coming out into Thunder Alley, flies over that jump and hits the sand, keeps going. Oh, Fitzpatrick with an interception in the end zone.
Wow.
So they turn around, and he's coming out, and he gets into this rhythm section right after the sand and gets ahead of himself. He shorts one of the jumps, goes too far over because he's out of rhythm, and his weight was forward on the bike going into the last jump and dumped himself over the handlebars and wound up finishing 21st in the second heat. Winds up coming back out in the third one and winning the third one.
Oh, damn.
So he was out front when he fell. If he would have just played it safe and not try to triple and just double and then get out of it, he'd have won $1 million.
Oh, shit. That's crazy.
So, but because of that, he didn't win all 3, so he didn't win the $1 million. So the guy that wound up winning the whole thing is Eli Tomac. So if you don't get first in all 3, you don't win $1 million. But if you win the overall, you get $100,000. That's quite which is perfectly okay. I'll take it. A lot
of money, yeah.
So that was the big boys. Then they have what's called the 250 All-Star Race, which is guys that are like amateurs that are going to be pros in the smaller bike class. Guy from Bakersfield won.
Nice.
Styles Robertson was his name. From Bakersfield, California.
Nice.
Big. I thought that was cool. And they showed he had a whole section in the stands. They showed his family.
That's cool.
That was cool. And then they have because KTM puts on the mini bikes, which is like they are like 50s and 60 cc bikes, and pretty much every Supercross race they sponsor. KTM lets all these kids ride, and if they win, they get to take home a brand new KTM motorcycle. Kid that won it this year. Enzo Timmerman from Visalia.
Nice.
So that was cool. He was in it last year, but he didn't win it. This year, he actually won the race. So that was cool. A couple
awesome.
Local guys.
Local guys getting some.
So that was going on during the baseball game.
So you were going.
So I was watching that, and then about the time I flipped back was when he hit the grand slam.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I was watching it, sitting here watching it. Me and Christina were sitting here Saturday night. And I was watching a game. She's like, you don't even watch baseball. Like, I usually do during the playoffs. So
to be fair, I called this. One of the guys in one of the stores I could work at, he goes, hey, my Dodgers are going to win. I said, not with John Lester on the mound. You can kiss that shit goodbye.
Well, the problem was that he didn't learn from the first pitch that he hung out over the plate. He hung that slider right over the middle, and Montero missed it. But he made a clean swing at it.
Right.
So I'm thinking...
So it was just about getting his timing.
I'm thinking about... You throw that pitch and you go... As soon as it comes out of your hand, you go, oh, shit, I left it over the middle. And then as soon as he misses it, you go, oh, God, thank God, I can't fucking do that again. Mm-hmm. You know? And he throws another ball after that. And then he goes right back to that split. And he hangs it over the same fucking spot. And this time Montero's like, watch this, bitch. And he punks that thing out of the stadium. As soon as he hit it, I knew it was gone. It was like, oh, shit. You know? And I'm watching that going, you fucking blew that. Gonzalez hit a great fucking ball off Chapman in the top of the 8th to help the Dodgers take the lead. I mean, it was I could not have played out better. They should be up 2-0 going back to LA right now. But, hey, that's why they play the game.
Right.
And then Kershaw last night, his nemesis, the 7th inning, almost got him again, but it didn't. You know, he did I forget who was batting, but he smacked that ball to center field. As soon as it came off the bat, Kershaw kind of looks down and goes, shit, because he thought he gave up the home run.
Yeah.
He's out there at the warning track, catches the ball, and you saw the look of relief on that guy's face. It was hilarious. But Cleveland's
Cardinals, Blue Jays and Indians playing right now, top of the 8th. Indians are up 4-2. They lead this series 2-0.
2-0, yeah.
Their pitcher, Kluber, or I think that's how you say his name, got pulled in the first.
Damn.
Bloody finger. Something happened. He got a cut on his finger.
Oh, shit.
And it was like, it wouldn't stop.
That's a lot of innings for somebody else to go.
Yeah. Couple big pieces of news in sports this weekend. Football-wise, allegedly, when they come back, the Cowboys are going to have a quarterback issue.
Well, it's not allegedly. There is an issue there because there's a sense of loyalty from Jerry Jones to Romo, but there is also the obvious, which is Dak Prescott playing good. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that you're going to win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott. You might. I'm not going to say you won't. You might, but the smart hand says you go with the experience. Now, if you're a logical thinker, and they've used two perfect situations to show this. The first one is the obvious, the Drew Bledsoe, Tom Brady issue. Bledsoe gets hurt, Brady comes in, he never looks back. I mean, literally never looks back.
Right.
Bledsoe gets traded at the end of the season. They did what was best for him.
Right.
On a smaller scale, you're looking at Alex Smith calling Kaepernick, which is more of the situation that didn't work. You know, you go with the young gun who's out there doing all the good things, the right things, the team's winning, and you let go of the savvy veteran who is probably not as big an athlete or as big as not the athletic guy.
He's more of a head smart than a talent guy.
Maybe he's not the showman is the best way to say it. He's not going to put up 60 points.
I would say he's a smarter player rather than an athletic player.
Yeah. So, you know, they let him go to Kansas City. And while Kansas City's not doing the best, they have played more consistent. We've watched the Niners tumble down.
Would you put Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre in that category? Because if you watch where Brett Favre went after that, like, granted he went to the Jets and didn't do shit, but he also had a torn tricep. But then when he gets to Minnesota and he's healthy, they go to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah. I'm thinking, I don't know if that one is quite the same. I guess you could compare it, but...
As far as looking at it, saying that there's a young guy here that can take the reins. We have confidence that he could take the reins.
At some point.
And that this guy is on his way down. Not that he's out, because I feel like that's the similar situation with Romo. I don't feel like Romo's done, but I do feel he's on the backside of his career.
He's definitely.
Obviously.
And that's the argument here is that if you take Prescott out and put Romo in, I don't want to say you know what you're getting ability-wise. You don't know what you're getting longevity-wise.
Right.
This guy could take one more hit and be done. You know, at which point you're going to say, okay, Doc, come and save the day. You know, and
I am surprised that no doctor has told him with all these injuries that, hey, man, this needs to be considered like towards the end here. Like you may want to finish out the year and call it.
I'm willing to bet he's heard it at least once.
Yeah.
Because this guy's had 3 surgeries in the last 3 years. There's
Right.
no way that someone's not telling this guy, hey, you might want to rethink this. You know, this might not be the best way to be spending your time.
So I'm going to ask you again. I asked you this a few weeks ago. Gun to your head, who's your quarterback next when they come back from the bye week? Yeah.
I'm going with Dak Prescott.
I don't see any other option. And this is why I say that. There's a couple factors. Chemistry. They played with this guy all season long to this point. You're almost halfway through the season at this point, and everything's clicking in your favor. You have the number one rushing running back and offensive line right now in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
They're doing a good job of protecting him. It took the guy 6 games to throw an interception.
Yeah. He didn't even throw an interception.
You know?
They ruled it a fumble.
Well, even you understand turnover.
Yeah.
That type of a turnover. You really want to fuck that up by bringing in a guy who you're going to go, well, this guy already has established chemistry with these guys. That may be so, but this motherfucker hasn't worn pads in 8 weeks.
Yeah.
10 weeks, whatever it's been. And you want him to come back out here and go, hey, we know your back's probably going to be tight and you're probably going to be sore with that from dealing with all this, and you're going to be healthy though. So get out there and just get it. He's not going to be as mobile.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me that he's not going to flinch every time he's got to worry about a blindside lineman or linebacker? Geez. Come on.
We watched Carson Palmer do it after his knee got hurt for years. Mm-hmm. Just that little subtle hitch in his throwing motion.
And the major problem that I see is that confidence that's depleting from Tony Romo about these hits is only getting on the momentum train for Dak.
Yeah.
Each week he's getting more and more confident, and they're opening up a little bit more and more of the playbook to him.
And here's something Troy Aikman said yesterday during the Packer game, the Cowboy-Packer game. It's not like Romo's going into oblivion.
No.
Dallas is going to need him at some point this year because through the wear of a 16-game season, Prescott is a rookie. And at some point, physically and mentally,
he'll break down.
Not break down, but he's going to hit a little bit of a wall.
They call it the rookie wall. It's the same thing in the NBA because in college, you play 40 games at best if you run the table into the tournament. There's 82 games in a season. You're doubling that.
You're doubling
and the travel.
So they're going to need Romo to be there either mentally or possibly physically to take over here and there if Dak takes a hit.
I don't think that that's a good idea to use him situationally.
I'm not suggesting situationally. Aikman was making a point that this kid, if this kid,
he's going to need him there.
Let's say he tweaks, he gets a low ankle sprain.
Right.
Not the high because that's weeks. He gets that low ankle sprain one game, and they say, you know what, we're not in a must-win situation, but it'd be nice to win these. Somebody like Tony Romo can step in and give you the ability to win.
Do you have more value to move him?
Right now?
Mm-hmm.
No. You might get some suitors for it, but I think the bigger value will be at the end of the season. Because you're talking trade deadline here in, a month?
It's week 8, so 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah. You're talking trade deadline in 2 weeks. The guy hasn't taken a snap. You don't know, you're talking another week.
That's one of those things where it's the used car thought. You know what you're getting.
Yeah.
And you know you get other people's problems.
Well, let's stop and think about the potential suitors that would want him.
Okay.
The Jets. They're looking at going on 1-5 right now. There's nothing they're going to be able to do right now to turn this season around with their schedule.
Right.
Okay? You're also looking at the 49ers. Well, I think they're tanking for Jackson. I think I hope Jackson's listening. The Louisville kid, he's going to be heading to San Francisco. Yeah. That's what that looks like. They restructured Cap's contract to maybe give him some room to play and say, look, you can play your way into another team. We're going to release you at the end of the year, and that's just the way it's going to be. So
stop throwing the ball.
So 49ers out. The Rams have Goff already. They're not going to sit there and grab another guy. You're situated
Eagles have
in
Carson Wentz.
The Eagles have Carson Wentz. You've got Brock Osweiler, young in Houston.
I think that Houston would make a play for him.
Well, I don't know if Houston would. They just gave Brock Osweiler $72 million.
You tell him you want to stay, you restructure your deal.
Well, you have to let him play 2 or 3 years out of that because you can't walk in a single year. Most quarterbacks do not walk in on their first year, pick up a new playbook, and go, we're good, let's go.
Really? Because they went through Ryan Mallett last year. They went through Case Keenum last year.
I'm not saying they haven't gone through a lot. I'm saying
you don't
walking in
want
like
a form of stability in Tony Romo? You have a young receiving core who is on the brink of something great down the road.
You also have a line that is patchworked into giving up multiple sacks a game. You can't bring someone like Romo in unless you want to kill him.
I'm not saying that you play him right out the gate, but you make a play for him. You lowball him. You lowball them to see if they'll take the bait. It's a win. It's a win situation for you to go, okay, we bring him in. Okay, now you can trade Osweiler away if you don't want to pay the $72 million and get you some linemen that'll help.
I don't know how easy that would be.
I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying that
because you're talking about Romo does have a lot of money left on his.
Yeah,
someone's gonna have.
That's why you move Osweiler.
Somebody's gonna have. Whoever's going to take that is basically.
Unless they're just taking a year down with no J.J. Watt and they're just taking it on the chin.
And I think that's why they sat J.J. Watt. They said, look, take the rest of the year off. Get yourself healthy. You'll have the whole offseason. By the time you get back next year, we'll have this offensive thing figured out. You know, whether it's Osweiler or whatever, we'll have this figured out.
Who's the running back there? Lamar Miller?
Yes, it looked awesome last night. The guy, I don't know how many yards he ended up with, but I know he had over 100. He had a couple of touchdowns, one receiving, one running. They've got their running back there now. So all they need to do is...
They had one there. They just decided he was too hurt.
Oh, he couldn't stay healthy. They need to situate their receiving core and their line.
Okay, so now my next question about Dallas.
Okay.
Do you move Des Bryant?
No, you can't.
Okay.
He is your...
We've talked about the difference in passion and too much emotion.
Okay. And
how it can be helpful and hurtful to a team. Now we're starting to talk about injury issues.
Okay.
Because this is becoming repetitive.
Yeah.
And it's not an arm, it's not a hand, it's the legs.
Yeah.
And those are huge problems when you're a receiver.
Yeah.
Those don't just go away. You know, granted he's a great route runner, but the guy's a freak athlete.
Yeah.
For his size. You know, and for his ability. But when you slow him down,
he's average.
The explosiveness, he's not going to have that same explosion coming out for jump balls. He's not going to be able to hit those speed routes to just take off and burn somebody anymore. He becomes a possession receiver. That's not what they need in Dallas. That's what Jason Witten's for.
Well, and that's what they're going to have to figure out. One, I don't think you move him because you can't move him. Oh, Palmer got nailed. That guy's taking a beating again.
Not to mention, they don't have a secondary guy. This is why I said what I said a couple weeks ago about Michael Crabtree. Say what you want about his issues in San Francisco and how he wasn't the guy. I believe that there was too much pressure on him to be the guy.
Yeah.
He is a good guy to have. I would say he's better than average, but he's not a superstar. Okay. Amari Cooper's your superstar.
Yeah.
But Michael Crabtree's your solid guy.
Yeah.
That you know when Cooper drops off because they're doubling him, that if you go one-on-one with Michael Crabtree, guess what?
You're going to win most
You're going to get fucked if you're on defense. So you have to play him honest.
Yeah.
And you have to make sure that if you're going to play us man up, you're not going to double both of us.
Yeah.
So they don't, and I think that that's rare right now in the NFL, that there's not a whole lot of teams that can say that they got somebody else on the other side of the ball.
Oh, that's tough. Yeah.
Like that. I mean, I would say when Jordy Nelson's healthy, Randall Cobb is that guy that can be solid. He's not great, but in moments, he has some big plays. Devontae Adams, before he got pulled into concussion protocol this week, he was on pace to be that guy for them, and they were moving Randall Cobb around as a utility guy.
Yeah.
He's slowly he's taking a little more time to progress into that role, but he's becoming a good secondary guy.
Yeah.
But when you look around the league, what other teams have those?
There aren't.
Mohamed Sanu's not that guy for Julio Jones. He's not.
But he's definitely taking pressure off of him.
He is.
He's
not there. I wouldn't look at him and go, "Oh, Roddy White like." No. When Roddy White was there, you knew Roddy White was the same thing. You had to play them honest.
Yeah.
Because Roddy White could hurt you just as much as Julio Jones could hurt you.
Yeah.
And then the dynamic that you had with Tony Gonzalez made it a whole nother animal.
Yeah.
You know. But when you look at other teams, who else is out there? Who's on the other side with AJ Green?
They don't have anybody. That's the problem.
You know, they let go of Marvin Jones.
Yeah.
I think that was a mistake.
They have another kid, but it'll be another year or two before we know that kid Tyler Boyd. But again, the one you would say is opposite of him is Tyler Eifert, and he's not on the field.
Yeah.
So he's not there.
You know, there's a whole lot of issues there. And I think that with Dallas, that I don't understand why they haven't made that play. To me, they're thinking too much like the Patriots. Where, as long as we got Romo, and we got Dez, and now we have Zeke, we don't got to worry about anything else. Just like Gronk and Tom Brady.
Well, one of the things you got to remember about Dallas, too, right now, is their offense is vanilla. It's not very complex. Granted,
the difference between the two teams is you're looking at a system in New England that's established system.
Yeah.
That it don't matter who you plug in. And they've shown that they'll be successful. You could bring in Martellus Bennett and tell Gronk, wait until your hamstring and your calf is healthy. Bring in Kendall Wright. Bring in Chris Hogan. Bring in whoever you want. Bring in Steve Bartman out of left field at the Cubs game. He'll play the system correctly and be successful. You don't need Tom Brady. They showed that.
Yeah.
If you've been around the system, Jimmy Garoppolo said, I'll take my chances. Successful. So it's a system. Dallas doesn't have that system.
Well, no, and that's
if you look at, and I don't believe that it's just a rookie issue. I just don't believe that Jason Garrett and that offensive coordinator have it set up that way. Like, I think they have an offense that's based around Tony Romo, and they've had to go, okay, he's not here. What do we do now? And they went, well, you put the ball on the floor, because if you put the ball on the ground, that eliminates mistakes from Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
It just happened to turn out that this kid's fucking as good as advertised.
Well, and I keep telling my brother, he's the Cowboy fan, I keep telling him, we still don't know what Dak Prescott is. He hasn't had to be the guy that led the team because Zeke didn't rush for 130 yards or 150 yards. We haven't had to see him win a game yet. We haven't had to see them come from behind.
He hasn't gotten anybody's best shot yet.
No, I mean, they've been able to walk into places or in their own house, hand Zeke the ball, and watch Zeke rip off runs, watch that offensive line manhandle people, and then they just keep handing.
Right.
Then they got to stack the box, and he goes to the one-on-one matches. Cole Beasley's winning them left and right these days out of the slot.
Right.
You're watching Jason Witten do what Jason Witten does. You don't need Des Bryant when things are that simple. Des Bryant is needed when things are not that simple. When they do start crowding the box and saying, okay, enough of this bullshit, Zeke isn't going to get a yard. If you're going to win, you're going to win because he passes for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's the only way you're going to win.
I'm surprised more teams haven't done that.
Well, I'll tell you what, Green Bay had the number one run defense in the league, and Zeke shredded it last night. Zeke and the offensive line. Let's be clear here. I do think Zeke is good. I don't want to take away from that. But we talked about this earlier in the season. He was not letting that line help him in the first 2 games.
Yeah.
He was not. He had a hard time seeing where the holes were. He had a hard time letting the blocks get to where they were.
Letting things develop.
Once he settled down and started following those linemen, holy shit, if he didn't get touched for 15 yards. You know, some of those long runs that he's broken off, he's not even touched, going through the line. So he's proving he can use the line now. Well, now we're looking at DeMarco Murray a couple of years ago where that guy just seemed to beast through every time he hit the line. Albeit DeMarco Murray's a little bigger,
right.
But, I mean, Zeke is just as fast and he's just as strong. So watching him develop has been fun. But, again, we still haven't seen Dak Prescott have to win a game yet, my team went over there, laid an egg. Green Bay laid an egg at home. I'm waiting to see who it's going to be. I'm pretty sure they're going to get a good shot from Philadelphia.
Hey, fuck it, let it count.
I'm pretty sure that they're going to get a good shot from Philadelphia when Philadelphia comes into town because their defense is decent. And I don't see...
I disagree. I don't think they're going to get a good shot from Philly.
You don't think so?
No, Carson Wentz is going to fuck up.
Well, he definitely has had a couple of mediocre games back to back.
As much as they were like, oh, he's one, and a rookie coach and a rookie quarterback. Hey, that's great, man. But tell me what you're going to do against a defense that says, okay, go ahead. We know what our offense can do.
Yeah.
They'll put together drives and keep us off the field. We're going to be rested.
Well, and here's what we're going to see is that because they are wired a little different, they will come out throwing the ball and
who's going to give them their best shot? New York.
The Giants?
Yep. Because on paper, everybody went, I don't know. And all of a sudden, they've come around here after getting things. They took a little bit of a feeling out.
And Washington is on the 4.
Washington's making a play. I mean, they're quietly doing it, but they're the defending champions in the division. So.
Well, and I think realistically, this is Dallas's to lose right now. They have the run game.
Absolutely.
They're playing the defense. So hopefully, Dak turns out to be everything the Cowboy fans want him to be.
28-3 Arizona scored. Yeah. Okay, that means they got to run the ball the rest of the way because they're up too much now in the fourth quarter. The Jets need to put together a drive that eats up a bunch of clock. Let David Johnson run the shit out of the ball so I can win my game. I'm only up by 9 points right now. This is not cool.
So, we're definitely gonna find out if Dak is gonna be what they need him to be. Down the long haul. How about your Raiders getting nut checked there?
I knew we were gonna have to talk about this on the show. And to be fair, let me just say this. On Friday, your brother and I both agreed that 2 touchdowns was the fair amount that the Patriots would beat your team by.
You're switching the subject?
Hold on. I'll get there. So if we're going to shit on each other's team, let's make it fair.
You can shit on me all you want. My team's 2-4.
That's fine.
I wasn't running through the fucking streets chanting, our division after Thursday night's game.
It's still our division. We still are in first place. 4-2 is what we are now, unfortunately. Man, you want to talk about not showing up?
And
The
this
defense
is
for the last 2 weeks, that defense has figured out a way to tighten up in strong situations, in key situations.
and they just couldn't
And
do it.
Alex Smith wasn't the guy where you went, oh, he could do anything he wanted, like Drew Brees in week 1. It was Jamal Charles and Spencer Ware that just ran anywhere they wanted.
Taking turns, man.
And Jamal Charles is on a snap count, it seems like, right now, coming off that injury.
About 15, I think.
And Spencer Ware said, that's cool, I'll take it.
I got you.
And the Raiders went, here, hold on, let us open the door for you. Motherfuckers.
So this is where I give.
But then again, the same problem that you look at in Denver against on Thursday night against the Chargers. The Chargers shouldn't beat Denver.
No, but you're still looking at the situation where Denver's dealing with a rookie. Well, maybe not a rookie QB, but a young QB who's still learning. You knew that was going to happen, and
to be fair,
in San Diego, you never know which Phillip Rivers is going to show up.
No shit.
You know, he has some weapons around him, so as long as he's got weapons, he's the gunslinging dude that's just going to fire away.
But to be fair, the Oakland defense is now very young and learning.
Well, and here's the deal. As I said, this is the part where you guys either get to distinguish yourselves from every other up-and-coming team, or you look like, for lack of a better fucking choice, is the Bengals. Because
this is what pissed me off, though. We come out, and that opening drive, they move the ball like nobody's business. They come out 7-0. Bam, we got you. Then all of a sudden, it was like somebody hit the stop button, and they were in slow motion, and Kansas City said, all right, time to play ball. Where you guys at?
Well, like I said, this is where you guys got to figure out which team you're going to become, because you either become the Cincinnati Bengals who grow to a certain point and never get beyond that point, or you take the next step. These are the kinds of games you're at home against a good division opponent, because everybody agreed that Kansas City is the contender in that division. You know, it was Denver, Kansas City, and Oakland.
Geno Smith got put in the game.
He's in. They got to learn. They got to figure out ways to win that game. You know. One of the things that Palmer, and that's why I think Palmer's not in Cincinnati. Palmer got kind of ruthless after the during the 2009 season. He would check to plays that he thought were in the best situation for the team.
Find him.
And he was getting gut checked by Marvin Lewis saying, "What are you doing? Run the play." There wasn't a check for that. There wasn't a need for that. Well, Palmer's saying that's not the right play. I can see that from a mile away, and he's being told run the play. Now Carson's in Arizona having a decent end to his career.
He had a revitalization in his career.
He did, because someone trusted what he saw. You know, so Derek Carr is going to have to get to the point where if he sees things, he needs to correct them, because man, I think Cooper had 90-something yards in the first half, right? Or
he had 117.
117 in the first half. Has like 10 the rest of the way.
He finished with 10 catches in the game, and he had 6 and a half.
Crabtree's not anywhere to be found. When your two biggest offensive players disappear like that, you are not going to win.
They're playing running back by committee.
Yeah.
No Latavius Murray.
Well, and sometimes you have to do that. I mean,
I don't mind that you're playing running back by committee, but when you clearly see that the running game's not fucking working, get away from it. Mix it up into a screen pass. Do something different.
You got to do something different with the pass game.
And right out of the gate, he threw that fucking interception to Peters that he shorted.
Yeah.
It was like, that was unnecessary. Like, you literally short-armed the ball on the throw. Like, you knew as soon as you let it go that you aired it like that. Like, come on. That's a mistake you can't make. You know? And as a Raider fan, it's frustrating. Because you see these tight games where they're talking about, we had to learn how to win last year. This was a game you should have won for all intents and purposes, for seeing the way that Kansas City played to this point, to this season, and through the first 5 weeks. There was no reason why they should not have beat them by at least 10 points.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying they should have smoked them by 21, 28 points, but 10 points is a fair assessment for them to win by.
Especially when you're at home like that, you know.
You know, the weather was in their favor. It was pouring rain. You know, they came out and moved that ball like it was nothing in the water. And I mean, and it was pretty bad flooded. Like, they showed what they were using to push some of the water off. Yeah. And they were saying at halftime that between the hash marks that the turf was coming up. That, like, they were having problem getting their footing. Not like 49ers coming up, but just really piss poor. Because you have to remember, the middle of those hash marks at a certain point comes up, because that's part of the baseball field.
Yeah.
That's part of second base up there.
That's funny.
So, you know, that was an issue where they were having problems. On the interception, Crabtree slipped coming back to the ball, where he underthrew it, where they thought, oh, well, he can either knock it down or it's a jump ball. He slipped coming out of his route.
Yeah.
And that was a problem. I mean, weather's not an excuse. They got handled. On defense, they got handled. And that has to stop. That's their biggest thing right now is they can't stop the bleeding against the run game. And that's been their biggest problem to this point. Drew Brees and Matt Ryan lit them up passing. They've done a good job of slowing that down. Not stopping it, but slowing it down.
Manageable.
Yeah. But they continue to give up these fucking runs, and they're not going to win games. They're not going to win these close games going forward.
Yeah. No, and that's part of the growing process, you know. They're trying to fix their defense. They're learning what holes they really have. So it'll be fun to watch them fix it because that team is good and they do have that ability. So what about the Panthers, man?
1-5.
How do you like that? Major changes from last year. Josh Norman. Any other one?
I don't know, man.
So basically right now it's looking like Josh Norman was the glue, was the everything of that defense because they just can't seem to slow anybody down right now. Now I'll be the Saints. They're gonna put yards and points up on most people, you know, especially when they're chasing people, you know, or if the game's tight, they're gonna put yards. They're gonna move the ball. So you can't really bash them for one game, but it's really looked like it all season. They just can't slow anybody down. You know, they're just not able to put long drives together when they need them. They can't stop anybody. Man, from Super Bowl to what? You know, all of a sudden,
it's
nowhere to be found, you know?
A ghost. Did you see the UFC news this morning?
I did not. What's going on over
George St. Pierre declares himself a free agent.
Really?
So, last night, Dana White, like as you know, like leading up to 205 is in New York. It's the McGregor-Alvarez card. 206 is in Toronto.
Okay.
And they announced Daniel Cormier versus Rumble Johnson. That was the deal. But it was built as the co-main event. It was not supposed to be the main event. Well, there's an open spot. Well, George St. Pierre goes back and says, hey, man, you know, I want to get back in the game back in the summertime. Well, as we know with USADA, it's a 4-month out of retirement process to come back and you have to go through 4 months of testing. He timed it so the last day of his testing would be the last day before 206 in Toronto because he's Canadian. He wants to fight in Toronto. Yeah. Dana White says he doesn't want to fight. He's full of shit. He keeps coming out. They keep bickering back and forth in the media saying, I'm coming back to fight. He doesn't really want it. He's full of shit. He didn't want to fight when he was fighting. No, I'm coming back. He's not going to come back. I'll believe it when I see it. This shit goes on for the last 2 months. Last night, Dana White says, GSP's not fighting in Toronto. That's not going to happen. Suddenly, Daniel Cormier and Rumble Johnson are the main event on that card. Right? So, this comes out last night. This morning, I wake up and I'm at work. I'm on my lunch and I'm checking through news stories on sports. George St. Pierre hires a lawyer to get him out of his contract and says, I no longer work for the UFC. I'm a free agent because I had an agreement with them prior in 2011 to what was going on. They did not want to honor that agreement. And I have a lawyer that got me out of that contract. I'm now a free agent.
Oh, wow. Bellator.
Now think about this. The last 3 people Bellator has signed. Benson Henderson, Rory McDonald, and Chael Sonnen.
Yeah.
The biggest name in that 3 is Rory McDonald.
Yeah.
He's the up-and-coming Canadian kid. What does that mean if you can pull off GSP for Bellator?
It means you're a legit rival to the UFC.
I wouldn't say it's a legit rival, but I will tell you this. Because they still have a young roster that I think some of these UFC guys that are established can run through. What it makes them now is the competition. Not a rival, but the competition. Because now the UFC loses their leverage. If you're a rival, that means that you can compete with the guy that you're a rival against.
Okay.
I don't think they can compete yet. Production value, I mean, they just sold for $4 billion.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here. The dollars behind them that they put into this are far different. While Viacom owns what's going on, they are still... There's a flag on the play. I don't think that's going to be an interception. while Viacom owns Bellator and has Spike, well, they'll always have a TV deal. They have still yet to do pay-per-views. Mm-hmm. So I would not say that they're a rival. But what they've done is open the door for guys who are tired and pissed off about that to go, hey, we let you have sponsors here, and we'll pay you fair over here.
Yeah.
They disclosed Benson Henderson makes $75,000 for the walk and $75,000 for the fight. So win or lose, he's making $150.
Yeah.
That's not counting whoever's dipping into the sponsorship money.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, well, you put, wrap your cars on my shorts or Condom Depot or whoever.
Yeah.
We'll pay you another. When we've heard Brandon Schaub say,
yeah,
I can make $100,000 with the names on my shorts and T-shirt. $250,000. That's a whole lot better than Reebok going, hey, we only believe you're worth $40 if you walk out there, and for another $40 if you win. We just talked about Tim Kennedy saying it's $5,000 to $10,000 to get this medical stuff done for UFC New York. If a guy's on the lower level, he lost his paycheck if he doesn't win.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting here in any type of 1-fight, 2-fight basis, I'm letting that motherfucker run out, and I'm calling Scott Coker and saying, what can we do? Let's talk turkey.
Yeah.
You got some big names.
Yeah.
Now, I just read right now on Twitter that Zuffa, which is the company that owned the UFC, before, Zuffa's who sold to the company. Zuffa is saying that they're the MMA promoter that has the rights to GSP's contract, and they plan to honor his contract, and they expect GSP to do the same. So now this is going to be a big...
How will Zuffa honor it if they sold off?
That would mean that the rights are owned by WGM or MG, whatever, the company that bought it. So if they own the rights to him...
I'm sure that GSP's lawyer went through that and knows.
That's my guess. To me, that's Dana White trying to save face.
Yeah.
That they went through. This is what was said on GSP's end. I went to them, and we talked about a deal at one point that it was going to happen, and we couldn't come to the conclusion on certain situations, including the dollar amount. Because like we talked about, that Under Armour money that he was going to lose was a problem.
Yeah.
So he was like, I don't want to lose that money. Then he said, well, I would like to. One of the guys that came forward was Jose Aldo. He said, I know GSP asked for $10 million to fight Conor McGregor, and the UFC told him no. So, hey, Drew Stanton's in the game.
No more Carson Palmer.
That means I'm going to win. Woo! All right. Anyway, so they sit there and said he asked for $10 million. Well, the UFC's not going to give him $10 million. Yeah. He hasn't fought in 3 years. You're going to dump $10 million into the guy?
Yeah.
Probably not. But that being said, you can't sit there and go, no, it's okay when GSP's been a champion. He was a champion that walked away as a champion. When he said, and his direct quote was, I need to get my life together. It wasn't, I'm tired of doing this, I'm bored. It was, I need to go home and make things right at home, which should be respected.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're the UFC, I get why you're mad. That's a moneymaker. That was one of your biggest draws at the time. But that still notwithstanding, you have to respect somebody as a human being.
Yeah.
And having their life together is a big deal.
Yeah, definitely.
And so they decided, hey, you go ahead and walk. We'll wait for you when you come back. Well, Dana White never said, oh, yeah. It's always been, nah, he doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to fight. And so now it looks like it could bite the UFC in the ass big time. Yeah. And I'm going to say this again. I said this a couple weeks ago on the show. I'm going to say this again. This is not me being a homer. This is not me swinging on McGregor's nuts. This is an honest fact. March of this year, or April of this year, he would not attend the press conference because he wanted to get his focus together and his shit together and stand up against the machine that is the UFC. And everybody went, I respect it, that we're fighters. Other people said, you're getting paid the most out of any of these fighters. You fucking dance, monkey. And they were mad because he wouldn't show up.
Yeah.
And the UFC tried to make a point by showing the empty chair at the press conference. And then what people didn't realize was how ballsy Nate Diaz was when he said, I'm not fighting anybody at 200 but Conor McGregor. Well, then what did the UFC have to do? Scramble.
Yeah, to get Conor there.
To get Cormier Jones as the headliner. Well, then
Jones gets in trouble.
Yeah. They're shit out of luck. Lesnar gets in trouble, which I think they knew about.
Yeah.
Then you have an epic card at UFC 202 with Diaz and McGregor who have an epic fight. if he wouldn't have had the balls to not get on that plane and say, fuck you guys, I'm not coming. What I'm doing here is more important than what you're doing there right now. You want me to be the guy that I'm advertised to be? This is what needs to happen. He did that. GSP was willing to do the same thing by walking away and say, if I'm going to be everything you advertise me to be, I need to make sure everything is in order. Yeah. And they are not respecting that. They didn't respect Conor. They're not respecting GSP. And now you're losing names.
Yep.
That, by him stepping up, by being such a notable name, this is the difference between GSP and Conor McGregor. GSP walked away from the game for that reason. I need to go home and get things in order. He walked away. He didn't say, stop me. Go ahead, because I'm not going to fucking show up. He just said, I need to go home. Conor said, do whatever you got to do. I'm not going. I call your bluff. I'm all in. What do you got? UFC said, we got nothing, apparently, but cocaine and Cialis. So, this has started something. And we talked about this when we started this podcast, all that shit was going on.
Barely going on.
It was barely kicking off. And I said, this is going to be bigger in, when we look back at this, hindsight 2020, this is a big deal. People are missing the point on this. They just think that it's a spoiled thing and it's about money and it's about who's got the bigger dick in this between the UFC and Conor McGregor. It was not.
Yeah.
It has proven to not be a pissing contest.
It was a legit show.
It was a legitimate public showing of people who had conflict.
Okay, so why is Drew Stanton in the game?
Because Carson Palmer got hit.
He suffered a hamstring injury.
Yeah, they showed him on the bike.
Wow.
This whole thing, that ball was rolling from that point.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And if you tell me no, then you're full of shit. Because guys like Nate Diaz getting paid in the millions because of Conor McGregor, that's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with Jose Aldo in the fact that the UFC's out of their fucking mind. That Dan Henderson should have never fought Michael Bisping for that title. As much as I think Dan Henderson won that fight should have never taken place.
Shouldn't have happened.
You know what Dan Henderson was ranked in that division?
Is it like 12 or 15?
13. Yeah, 13.
Down there.
That should have never happened. Conor McGregor's first title shot against Jose Aldo should have never happened. He was 5th when he got his title shot against Jose Aldo when they were supposed to fight and they went around the world twice. When he wound up fighting Mendez in the interim fight. It's one of those things where at the end of the day, Scott Coker and Bellator have realized that they have a golden opportunity.
I think they saw a window. I think they saw who was not signed and said, let's see if we can land a couple of these guys.
If you listen to his podcast on the Fighter and the Kid podcast, Scott Coker's on there. I don't know if you've listened to that. You got to go back and listen to that. He talks about how they want to bring up their talent and that they have a 5-year plan with this promotion. But they're ahead of schedule. Why are they ahead of schedule?
Because they grabbed a couple of guys that weren't.
Because they've done it the right way. They're playing people fairly. They're not trying to take money from the fighters. They're willing to say, we'll give you all the sponsors you want. Just don't draw a dick on your shorts.
Yeah.
Or anything vulgar. Right?
Okay.
You're turning around and saying, hey, we got young guys that are competitive. So if you're a young up-and-coming guy, we'll give you a fair chance here. If you're an older guy who's established, we'll pay you like an established guy. And guess what? You're going to get to see if you can run with these young bucks. Because these young bucks are going to get a chance to knock you off.
Yeah.
What is fighting all about? Competition.
It's about facing the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, although Bellator does not have the best fighters in the world, they are cropping fighters to be the best in the world. And they're doing it. We talked about this before. The boxing idea of bringing fighters up into getting them ready to fight in major fights.
Yeah.
Giving them fights that not are easy wins, but that will help them develop.
Yeah.
And this is a big deal, that they're playing it right. They're not trying to fuck you. They're not trying to tell you, we got more money than you. We're not trying to tell you, look, we made $4 billion. We're only paying you $20,000.
Yeah.
That's not what's happening. They're saying, we have all this money from our TV deal. We have all this money because Viacom owns us. Let's share the wealth. Let's make this sport better.
Yeah.
And we're willing to do what we got to do so.
And that's all it really took, was someone willing to go out there and do right by the fighters.
Uh-huh.
Because we've never felt like UFC was doing right by the fighters. You know, especially when you look at something, I don't want to say that's not as entertaining, but it's not. I would say it doesn't have the entertainment value in boxing. Those guys get paid ridiculous, and some of those fights you watch are not worth. I mean, you've seen better fights on elementary campuses than you do in some of the boxing rings, and those guys are making, man, low-end pay-per-views, $2-3 million a fight.
I thought that it was stupid of them to bring in Kimbo Slice, Ken Shamrock, Enzo Gracie, Ken Shamrock fight. Kimbo versus Dada 5000. I thought that was ridiculous. I thought, why are you doing this? You're pissing on this sport by bringing these guys in. It made sense business-wise. It brought attention to them.
Yeah.
And say what you will, but the guys that we just named that are now there that have ended their UFC ties and left there are major names.
Yeah.
Because they were willing to go, hey, look over here.
Yeah.
Look what we're doing here.
Yeah, and then once the word gets out amongst the fighters, and I'm sure they know already, but hey, they are taking care of us like they said they were. You know, you get tired of that bullshit over there, come on over here.
Yep.
UFC's going to start losing some names.
It was an active conversation with Cowboy Cerrone over at 202 when they talked about how many more fights you have on your contract. Are you going to be a free agent? You know, Rory McDonald signed with Bellator. You know, Benson Henderson, who's your buddy, signed in Bellator. That was an active thing at the press scrums. It's not going to stop.
Yeah, no, especially with the guys who are commanding a lot of attention. Right
you want to see the shit hit the fan? Watch GSP sign with Bellator.
Oh, wow.
If he signs with Bellator, you're going to see a whole new floodgate open for the UFC.
Yeah.
And now there's more reports coming out that Goldman Sachs, who is one of the partners in the buying of the UFC, was strongly cautioned to not buy them because they exaggerated their finances. That the value of $4 billion was exaggerated. And more so now, they keep taking people out and bringing their own people in.
Yeah.
This is not good for business.
No, it's not.
You can say what you want with Dana White at the head of the show. At the end of the day, he's still the guy that's got to listen to the people that pay his salary.
Yeah.
As much as he has the experience to go, nah, this will work. We can do this one. We can do that one with the matchmakers. Hey, that's great. But if the guys that are sitting in the ivory tower in the penthouse go, we don't like that. Let's do something different. Guess what? He'll smile and say, yes, sir. Just like the rest of them.
Yeah. Especially with the dollar signs floating around.
Yep.
There. Yeah, definitely. Well, it'll be interesting to see how this unfolds over the next couple of weeks.
I was going to say, I would imagine that over the next couple of days, we're going to get more details.
That'd be fun to wake up tomorrow morning and see GSP signed with Bellator.
I don't think it'll be tomorrow just because of the legality of it. I think the UFC will try and shut him down contractually and say, oh, It was the same thing, similar that happened with Bellator and Rampage Jackson. Mm-hmm. His contract with Bellator was not up, but they breached his contract, and he was supposed to fight in the UFC, and then Bellator said, no, he's still under contract with us. It went, literally it got taken straight away to court, and they said, no, you breached his contract, he can fight. So he was allowed to fight on pay-per-view right away. I think you're going to see something similar, where over the next couple weeks, over the next couple days, you're going to hear details, and over the next couple weeks, you are going to hear the legality of it unfold. And it's going to be a shit show. You thought that Dana White has been smeared by Jose Aldo, who has come out and said, the only way I'm fighting now is for money. You mean what you talk about the belt means nothing. This is quickly getting ugly for Dana White.
Yes, it is.
So we'll see what happens with the UFC. I'm still excited for UFC 205. Definitely the best card that they've ever had. Conor McGregor, Eddie Alvarez, obviously the main event. Wonderboy Thompson versus Tyrone Woodley. Joanna Jędrzejczyk defending her strawweight title against another Polish girl who's undefeated, Karolina. I don't know how to say her last name. You got Cowboy versus Calvin Gastelum. You got Jeremy Stevens, Frankie Edgar, Raquel Pennington, and Misha Tate. That
is next week?
It's November 12th.
Oh, yeah, we got a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we're still about a little less than a month out. It'll be fun. It'll be a really good card. So, like I said, UFC's, as they're getting ready to pull off their biggest card in a place that in Madison Square Garden where they never thought it'd be, and in the middle of all this,
they got that.
The walls are closing in.
Yeah. There's definitely going to be some eyes on that pay-per-view to make sure that everything's going the way it's supposed to. Or I don't know. That Reebok deal really hamstrings them when it comes to paying. So there's not a whole lot else they can do.
And the argument from Dana White was, well, you'll get what you can kill.
No, that's not true. I mean,
People have even come out now and are pissed about Ronda Rousey getting a title shot.
why wouldn't they be? I mean,
Raquel Pennington, I think, or was it Juliana Pena? Maybe even Juliana Pena, I think. Came out and said that it's bullshit.
I agree.
She said why? Why does she deserve to get a title shot? She lost.
Yeah. And she lost convincingly.
And she hasn't fought in a year.
Yeah, I mean,
If she came right back and you said, hey, we're going to give her the run back. She's been the champion, the only champion in this division. We're going to give her the run
it's
back.
a little different of an argument.
It's different.
But for her to take off.
For her to take off, and this is what makes it so much fucking worse. When you have a guy standing in front of everybody going, Conor McGregor's not any different than this guy. Yeah. Ronda Rousey's not any different than this girl.
And then to do this.
And then to treat them differently.
Yeah. Looks not a little suspicious. Looks funky.
Not true. So it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. I do believe it's your turn for our new segment on the show.
I thought it was your turn. My brother gave.
Oh, he took yours?
Well, that's what I assumed we were doing.
Oh, well,
do you have one?
I think I can put something together here.
You could put something together.
I can put something together here.
Okay, so I guess it's time for our segment.
Our segment of the show, the Eat a Big Bowl of Dick segment.
Sausages and buns. I mean, it was fine. It's not like anyone writes home and says, oh, God, I had the best tip.
Say hello to my little friend. Your hand, you son of a bitch.
All right, so my Eat a Big Bowl of Dick segment this week goes to the Oakland Raiders defensive coordinator. I love my team. I love the players on the team. Jack Del Rio's awesome. But Ken Norton Jr. can eat a big bowl of dick. If you can't stop the run against a backup in Spencer Ware, it's not Jamal Charles. It's not Adrian Peterson. It's not, God forbid he come out of retirement, Mr. Marshawn Lynch. You're talking about Spencer Ware. Okay? You have not been able to stop the run this season. Defensively, you have got to wake up. Young or not, there has got to be a decision made at some point that we're either going to stop one or the other, or we're just going to get into shootouts. Because that's what the Saints are doing.
Yeah, no
The
shit.
Saints have decided, hey, fuck defense. We're just going to throw the ball and just play it out.
Yep.
If that's what we need to do, so be it. But if Ken Norton's not the guy, then get him the fuck out of there now. I thought it was a good idea in the beginning. He was the defensive coordinator in Seattle. They brought in Bruce Irvin. He has Khalil Mack. It made sense. Not anymore. Make a decision. So Ken Norton Jr., you can eat a big bowl of dick.
This is a popular segment, by the way, in case you're wondering. So, as usual, we have Instagram. We have
Instagram, totally _unprofessional. On Instagram, the link to Podbean's in the bio. Little finger emoji pointing straight down. Click the link. It'll come right up. We're uploading them as we can. We had some issues. Got one of them up. They'll be coming up over here in the next day. I'll be trying to get it up as many as possible. I'll start throwing up the pictures and stuff that Mayo sent me from his trip to Dallas with his brother, who was on the show on Friday. Also, we have our YouTube channel. It's totally unprofessional podcast on YouTube, when you can listen to all the episodes that we have. This is episode number 45.
Yeah.
For those of you keeping track at home.
Cleveland went final, 4-2. They're up.
3-0 in that series.
NLCS Game 3 tomorrow.
Cardinals Jets 28-3 was the final.
As usual,
David Johnson finishes with 111 yards and 3 touchdowns.
As usual, Jets decided not to show up to the game again tonight.
Yeah.
Finish with Geno Smith in.
Yeah.
Maybe a permanent change coming over there. We'll see.
Could be.
I'm sure Jets fans will be happy about
On
that.
a side note, I'd just like to say that my beard is looking sweet. And coming along nicely.
Well, go on with that. I'm happy for you.
I'm coming along nicely.
Mine started to finally grow beyond the normal 6 week
Right.
that it takes. It comes out, but it comes out fucking gray.
And
But it
own
doesn't-
it.
But it doesn't come
Fucking
out.
own it.
The problem is that it doesn't come out completely gray. It's patch gray. So I'm gonna look like fucking Sally, our dog, with black and white patches if I let it grow.
trim
too much.
accordingly
No,
to make it work.
I may work on that. We'll see.
Come on.
We'll see.
That's going to be our new thing for the basketball season.
Oh,
I've switched up the haircut this year. I'm not going with the straight slick back look. I've made a tweak to the haircut.
Okay.
Right? So the beard's going to be the thing this year.
So I'll have to
So you got to work on the beard.
We'll start working on the
Right?
beard. So we'll see what happens.
You know? Come on. Got to work on that.
All right.
So once again, make sure that you like, comment, share, tell your friends, tell them to tell their friends, and we can be friends.
There you go.
And we can get this thing rolling even more so than normal. We got to have Gio on here pretty soon. They got a big pay-per-view with some big announcements coming up. Goldberg made his return tonight to WWE.
Shit. Wow.
So we got to get Gio on. I got to get a hold of Gio as soon as I can. That's a big one. We still have got to get a hold of Danny to try and get a hold of our tattoo guy to get him on here. There's just been some scheduling conflicts with him being out of town and us trying to get a hold of him and making that trip up there. Basketball's getting rolling. We're getting busy. So we're trying to knock these out when we have that time. Yeah. Tuesday, you finish your golf season.
Tomorrow, Girls League Championship for us. Yeah, we will be done after tomorrow, and it's right into fucking basketball.
Welcome back.
No break, man.
Welcome back.
I may take the rest of the week off, but
I don't want to hear that
we're
shit.
in dead period anyway.
Yeah,
so
I don't want to hear that shit. Some of us are over here putting in work all year long.
Yeah, sure.
Some of us don't pretend that we're Some of us don't pretend we're the head of the golf program so we can get free golf shots on the course and at the range.
Golf shots.
Really?
That's the problem. I don't. There are no golf perks from our local golf course.
Really? You're going to tell me that you can't get in your shots with a big fucking basket of range balls when you practice with the girls?
Nope. How will they get better if I'm busy working on my fucking game?
I didn't say, well, they were there.
No, I can't. I go in there okay, first off, I'm not allowed there as a team. We're not allowed on Fridays and Saturdays.
Right.
So if I show up on a Friday or Saturday and ask for a bucket of balls for the school, they're going to tell me to eat a big bowl of dick. So that ain't happening. Monday through Thursday, usually one of those days we have a match, if not two. So that leaves 2 days a week we're there with the girls. No time. I literally get the least amount of work done on my golf game during the girls' golf season. I get more done during basketball season than I do during golf season.
Don't tell me that. Don't make me question that.
You don't have to. I can come home in between practices now
and play with your clubs and balls.
Play with my balls. Yeah.
Knew you were going to go there. What I want to know, and I think our listeners would like to know, where's your chipping grass?
It's right here. A little grass right here.
So have you used it?
Sure I have.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Now, step 2. We've talked about this in the past. I want to go ahead and tie the show up with this loose end right here. Where's the damn man cave?
That's a work in progress. Apparently, okay, so here's the other part. So the garage is going to finish getting cleaned out here over the next week or two.
Okay.
Manuel has decided, my son, has decided to start a band.
Okay.
And he needs somewhere for his boys to practice. The other parents are not hip with it. Not to insinuate I am hip with it, but I encourage him to try things.
Right.
So I told him, not thinking he would actually do it, I told him, hey, if you get your boys together and you need somewhere to practice, you can go practice in the fucking garage. Bring your drums, bring your guitar, do your screamo shit in the garage. So he comes home today and he says, hey, Dad, we're officially a band. I looked at my wife, looked back at him, and I went, oh, shit.
Stuck your foot in that one.
Well, I'm gonna stay true to my word.
Right,
we're gonna get it cleaned out, and if he gets drums out.
So what you're saying is you need to do the Snoop Dogg thing and build a shed like in the back away to build like and run power out there and all that business.
Probably. If I do something like that, I won't run individual power. I'm gonna look into solar batteries for it. It would probably be better off that way. It's just gonna have a fan.
Well, as long as you don't lose a fight or a game because there's no sun.
Well, that's the thing about the storage batteries. You can run solar to charge the batteries all day, and then the batteries run electricity.
Right.
It's legal everywhere but California. That's why I'll get it for here.
Fantastic.
So.
All right. Well, this has been episode 45.
Yep. I'm at
it. 45. We're almost to 50.
Yeah.
Getting there.
We've been hauling ass, man.
Sweet. All right. Well, I'm Justin.
Emmanuel.
We've been totally unprofessional.